Right, so let's get into this discussion. The Democratic Alliance is calling on the Trade Minister to quickly replace National Lotteries Commission Board Chairperson Barney Pityana. He resigned from the post, but the NLC didn't provide reasons why. DA Trade spokesperson Toby Chance joins us for more on this. Mr. Chance, good evening to you and thank you so much for joining us. I do want to start with just the Democratic Alliance's initial reaction to the news of Pityana's resignation. What you make of that development?
Well, it's surprising, and thank you for having me, Lady. It's surprising because his term is not yet up. He has a 5-year term as chairman. And he's only 3 years into his term, so his resignation is surprising. So it came out of the blue, and we're waiting to see what happens now with Mr. Tao's decision.
Yeah, but how would you characterize his contribution, though, as chair of the NLC and the time that he did sit in that position?
Generally speaking, I think he did a reasonable job. He was picking up a terrible legacy from his predecessor and a board that was clearly involved in some nefarious or corrupt activities. And I think that he has reimposed a sense of integrity and transparency with the board, as also has the commissioner, Jody Scholz. So I think the two of them have worked quite well together. He was presented with a terrible challenge of having to deal with corruption in the billions, which is now being investigated by the Special Investigating Unit. And I think, on the whole, he has done a reasonable job.
Now, there's a sense that the decision, though, for him to resign still not quite clear, right? What it is exactly that motivated that decision. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on that. Yes. But some murmurings that, from earlier on in the year, there was this intention not to stick around for much longer.
That is speculation. We haven't actually seen an official announcement yet. We haven't seen the letter, and we haven't heard an announcement from the NLC or the minister. But bearing in mind, he did turn 80 this year, so he's certainly had a good stint, and he has had some issues. Certainly in the appointment of the 4th license operator, there's been continual litigation by previous and potential bidders for the lotto license, and I think that the National Lotteries Commission and the minister have been embroiled in endless rounds of litigation, which have still not played out. So maybe he's just, reached the end of his patience and decided to hand over to somebody else.
You, as the Democratic Alliance, have asked for the Trade Minister to urgently replace Pityana. I mean, I want to get to where we talk about just the need for that urgency, Toby.
Well, I think the reason I say that is because the previous chairperson, his term ended in, I think, November 2020. And it was a process of many delays resulting in, I think, 18 months before the new person, the chairperson, was appointed. And there was a real to-ing, fro-ing between the then Minister Ibrahim Patel, the Portfolio Committee. The minister appointed a committee under the chairmanship of Judge Dennis Davis to put a shortlist together, which was then ruled to be illegal. Then Parliament was not able to consider the report from the committee. So there was just an endless series of delays. And I think that the National Lottery Commission has to have a chairman in place. The chairman plays a very important role in guiding the board. And with all the legal problems that has been facing the NLC in the last few months and years, Minister Tao has to get a move on. And what has to happen is that he has to place an advertisement in the newspapers, and then 30 days later, nominations need to come through, and then the Portfolio Committee has to play its role, which is why in my statement I made the point that the Portfolio Committee has to take a proactive role in evaluating the applications and then submitting a short list of names to the minister, who he then has to choose from that list to appoint the final chairperson.
Yeah, if I just sit with that point just a little bit longer about, now I'm not just talking about the urgency, but what the greatest concerns are about having that leadership vacuum where the NLC, for instance, may very well continue without that post being filled. What the red flags are, in your view?
Well, the red flags are that the board becomes ineffective. And we saw in the past when Minister Patel tried to appoint an interim board chairperson, which was, again, the court ruled that that was illegal in terms of the Lotteries Act. So what we have is a situation where we can't have an interim chairperson. We have to have a chairperson in place. And without a chairperson, the board is leaderless. It's like having an organization, a company without a chairperson. And there's only so much that the commissioner can do. There's only so much that the board members can do. So I would think that the process needs to start immediately. And, we should be in a situation where in the first quarter of next year, at the very latest, we should have a replacement in place.
Now the question becomes who? What kind of individual, and either you have a name or you certainly have the characteristics of the kind of person that needs to sit at the chair of the board of the NLC, the amount of grit they need to have, all of those sort of characteristics to head up this incredibly important institution.
Absolutely right. They need to be impeccable credentials, not only in terms of their track record in business or in any other institutions they have played a leadership role in, but they also must be completely above any suspicion of corrupt activities. We've just seen time and again how state institutions have been led by people of dubious credentials. And in this situation where billions of rands of public money, or actually individuals' money, are spent on good causes, we must make sure that the person who's leading that organization is absolutely above reproach. So, only the best people can apply, really. That must be the advertisement that goes out from Minister Tao. And there are good people in this country. There's no question that there are plenty of people that could apply for the job. It is an onerous job. There's no question about it. Somebody must be prepared to be in the public eye, in the spotlight, and so must be able to field difficult questions and be able to respond.
Yeah.
And I think those are the qualities that anybody that's applying for this job must demonstrate.
Yeah. Just lastly, before I let you go, any steps that yourselves at the Democratic Alliance, for instance, will be taking to keep this issue top of mind for the Trade Minister?
Well, I think whenever the Minister appears in Parliament, we will make sure that we ask the questions. He does come to the Parliament regularly, and we will make sure that we put the pressure on him, not just myself, but I'm sure my colleagues have been very vigilant on this matter. And in fact, we're still waiting to see what happens with the court matter regarding the appointment of the fourth licence holder.
Yeah.
So Mr. Tao does have questions to answer, and this will just be another agenda item on his to-do list.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. The Democratic Alliance's trade spokesperson there, Toby Chance, is speaking to us this evening.